Hello everybody, my name is Michael Knipp and I'm here today to do the No Disclaimers book tag. I was tagged by Angela from Literature Science Alliance. She said she liked it when I have spicy takes, and I don't know what that means because all of my takes are lukewarm at best. I've been told that before. But is that true? You decide. I'm gonna have to make sure that my mind is framed correctly. This is the No Disclaimers book tag. I'm just gonna answer honestly. I'm just gonna off the cuff. Here we go. Number 1, which trope in books annoys you the most? My immediate go-to is the miscommunication trope. I think it's awful. I think in very select instances, you can justify why characters may not actually talk to each other, but the majority of the time, they just should, and it usually would just resolve things. The miscommunication trope alone is something that makes me want to DNF a book immediately. If I feel like the book could be fixed just by characters who made a very stupid decision of not talking to each other, if they just decided to share information, it would fix the entire plot of the book, it makes me want to put it down and never pick it back up. Number 2, which writer or writers do I feel are overrated or overhyped? Okay, let me just shoot off the cuff here because there's not a lot of writers that I feel are overrated or overhyped. Most of the examples that I can think of like super hyped authors, when I actually got around to reading their books, I genuinely loved them. Like some of the most hyped authors I've seen on BookTube are like Frederick Bachman. I read Anxious People, loved it. I think I'm probably going to love his other books as well. My wife did. A lot of people, okay, you know what? If you want to hear a spicy take, a lot of people are saying that Brandon Sanderson is one of the most overrated or overhyped authors on BookTube. He's a very popular author on BookTube because a lot of people love his books. A lot of people, like Angela, want to try to play it both sides of the aisle and be like, I love Brandon Sanderson, but yeah, because he's popular, he's overhyped. I don't believe that. I believe the hype is accurate because I love the Cosmere. Do I think everyone will love the Cosmere? No. I can be your friend and think that you have a very wrong take about the Cosmere. I don't think Brandon Sanderson is overhyped. Who do I think is overhyped? How about Patrick Rothfuss? I've never read his books. I'm only reading The Name of the Wind right now for the first time. I'm only 4 chapters in. Is it amazing so far? Yeah, but the dude's only written 2 books and a short story, and he's one of the most talked about authors on the internet and BookTube and FantasyTube in general. Maybe Patrick Rothfuss is overhyped. This video is going to age really poorly if I end up really loving the King Clair Chronicles. What are my least favorite books you've read since joining BookTube? The easiest answer for me to say that I frequently go to as a book that I disliked in joining BookTube is To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini. I feel like I saw a decent amount of medium positive press coverage, and by press coverage I mean BookTube reviews, for that book before it came out. I wanted to DNF it. I felt bad. This was a book that I, as a person on BookTube, hyped up a lot. I built up that there was going to be a read-along on my Discord, and then I started reading it and wanted to DNF it right away. But because I had said there was a read-along on my Discord and I was hosting it, I read it, and it was awful, and it just kept getting worse to the point where, like, it got so weird that if I describe the ending of that book, you probably won't believe me. I didn't like that book at all. Another book that I just had to nope and DNF because I knew it wasn't for me was The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. Something about fairies and fae don't work for me, which is unfortunate because this month I'm supposed to be reading A Court of Thorns and Roses, which is a fae fantasy romance. We'll see how that goes, knowing that I've played it very nicely, but I have a lot of negative thoughts about The Cruel Prince. Namely, that fae aren't scary, and the way that they're trying to be portrayed as scary in The Cruel Prince is they're like little pranksters. There's the episode of Looney Tunes with a gremlin on the airplane, and he just pulls like silly pranks where he's like chewing the plane's wings. Chewing the plane's wings is 10 times more scary than most of the things that they purport to be scary in The Cruel Prince. And then I accidentally heard a spoiler on who the love interest was in The Cruel Prince, and I have never returned a book to my library faster. Am I allowed to say that Ship of Magic was incredibly disappointing for me? Like, incredibly disappointing for me to the point where I just didn't like it that much. Number 4, what is a terrible ending that ruined an otherwise quality book? This is my ancient mass market paperback of Dune by Frank Herbert. It's this long, extremely slow, very political sci-fi fantasy story that is like seminal. It's like this very important and very inspirational and very influential book. It's a book that's recommended all over the place. It's been made into almost 2 adaptations. One of them should be coming someday. This was a book that once I got into it, it was a little hard to get into. It's a little dense. Once I got into it, I freaking loved Dune so hard. I loved it so much. The problem is I love that it was this slow-paced, very methodical, very calculated, smart, interesting sci-fi novel with like fantasy elements. And then in the last 30 pages, so much goes down and it speeds up and it really rushes the ending in a way where if you would have asked me before the ending of Dune, will I read all the Dune books? My answer was yes, this might become one of my favorite series of all time. After the ending of Dune, I decided that I would probably just treat this book like a standalone because I'd lost all interest in the rest of the series. If you're a Dune fan, was that a smart decision? I've heard mixed feelings from Dune fans. Some people say the series never gets better. Some people absolutely love it. I'm curious to hear what you guys think. But the ending of this book, it's not fair to say that it ruined it for me. This was still a 5-star read for me. I don't think that for me, the ending of a book can just inherently ruin it because I loved the rest of the book and the ending was so rushed and short at the end. Number 5, which fictional characters do I wish was not killed off? Uncle Ben, Batman's parents, the lady at the beginning of Up. This is such a difficult question to answer because it's inherently spoilery. Oh, here we go. I'll try to describe this as spoiler-free as I can. In the book Dark Matter, there's a character that's really cool and awesome and gets completely shafted, maybe halfway through the book, maybe 60% of the way through the book. That character. Ask in the comments down below if you don't know who I'm talking about. Number 6, what are some of your bookish pet peeves? I'm going to admit a bookish pet peeve that maybe I should admit because I review books on BookTube and I try to be taken seriously incredibly. I am a father and I also have a lot of things going on in my life to the point where I very frequently suffer from narcolepsy. Sometimes I just can't stay awake when I'm listening to audiobooks. This can include when I'm actively doing other things. I'll just fall asleep. There has to be some sort of problem with your book when I can fall asleep for, we'll say 5 to 10 minutes of an audiobook, and I'll wake up and realize that I've been sleeping, and then I go back in time in the audiobook, I rewind it, and replay the section that I slept through, and nothing important happened, and nothing important was said. The amount of times that this happens in books, where I fall asleep, miss a good 10-minute chunk of the audiobook before I wake up again. And then I rewind it and realize that nothing happened. It's absurd a little bit. I mentioned To Sleep in a Sea of Stars earlier. I did this multiple times, sometimes for 15 minutes at a time. And I went back because I got the book before release. I went back and I re-listened to every section to make sure I never missed anything. There's so much of the book that doesn't need to be there. So much of the book where nothing happens. I was astounded. Another bookish pet peeve. When I'm reading a book that I should like, and I want to like, and I try hard to like, and I can't like it. When it tries to do something that's cool and it doesn't do it cool, I can't like it. Or maybe I can like it, but it's super disappointing. I'm looking at you, Greenbone Saga. I just finished Jade War, and the problem with Jade War is it has this awesome magic system. It exists in the 80s with these gangs that have like guns and swords. It's full of these bombastic characters that have extremely strong personality traits, and so much of the book, nothing happens. It's like the author was just writing to discover what they wanted to write, but instead of cutting out the parts where not much happens, they just kept them in and called it character development. But this sounds really mean. I have some beef with Jade War that is yet to be unresolved. I have not made a video of it. I just feel like when I read Jade War, maybe I read the wrong book. It said Fonda Lee on it. It seemed to be the book that everyone else that I know is praising, except for the part where I read it and it wasn't very good to me. Speaking of which fictional character do I wish was not killed off, the one from Jade City. I wish that character was not killed off. They were the only character that I like. Number 7, what are some books that I feel should have more recognition? I'm going to use this opportunity to beat a dead horse. Wayward Pines by Blake Crouch. Hey, Blake Crouch wrote more than Dark Matter, people. He wrote Recursion, but he also wrote the Wayward Pines series, and I want more people to read it. There's a self-published author whose name is A.G. Riddle that has written some excellent series. The Extinction Files in particular is one that I love and I frequently think about, and yes, it does have to do with the pandemic, so maybe that's one of the reasons that it's ever so present in my brain continually. But I think in addition to that, it's also just really fun and really good. He also wrote the Long Winter trilogy, which I try to talk about all the time. It's a sci-fi crazy adventure. It goes places. It goes places. Literally, metaphysically, metaphorically, I guess. You know what? I'll say it. Robin Hobb is a popular author, but I don't feel like she's as popular as she should be, specifically when I'm talking about those first 3 books that she wrote in the Realm of the Elderling series. The Farseer trilogy hurt me to my core in a way that I have not recovered from, and I probably never will. Holy crap. I love the Farseer trilogy. Number 8, what are your thoughts on censorship and banning books? I love how we just decided to end this fun and goofy tag with something extremely serious and potentially important. My thoughts on censorship and banning books. I think that's a bad idea. I think that censorship and banning books can cause a lot of problems. I think that if a book has problematic elements or problematic concepts or ideas, they should be publicly discussed, and if they're bad, they should be discussed and explained why they're bad so that you can explain why this is not a good thing to think, believe, do, whatever. I believe that's the accurate way to fix a problem instead of just pushing them out of the circle of conversation to where, like, bad things can happen when you isolate those ideas from a conversation and they're allowed to fester in areas where they aren't allowed to be publicly exposed and destroyed. In addition, books have been banned for various reasons throughout history. Some of them have been incredibly stupid and look ridiculous in hindsight. I think that's the case with most banned books. Now, burning books is a different question, because I do believe there are certain times that one may have to burn a book. For instance, I've said this many times, Brandon Sanderson, if you do something bad to one of my favorite characters, and you know who I'm talking about, you Mistborn Era 2 fans, if you do something bad to one of my favorite characters in Wax and Wayne Book 4, I will burn your book on BookTube publicly. I've said this before, I will reiterate it again, I will light the book on fire on BookTube, and it will be my review for that book if that happens. Additionally, if books hurt you, it can be cathartic, and I suggest that we burn them, not en masse, on an individual ritualistic level. We burn them literally, spiritually on BookTube, because I do believe that could be a cathartic, freeing, magical experience. I haven't ever done it. No, I did do it once. I burned a textbook that I hated. I did burn a textbook once. This is the first tag I've done in a while, and I'm done. I did it. Do you guys like tag videos? Do you like to watch tag videos? I don't do that many. Most of my videos are reviews, but reviews are a very specific type of videos. I'm trying to expand my horizons to making videos that more people would like to watch. What do you think of these takes? Are they hot? Are they hot takes? Was Angela correct in tagging me for this? Or are these lukewarm, normal baby takes? Are these baby takes? Comment down below. I need to tag some people to do this tag. I'm going to tag Overly Average Ben. Very funny. Sometimes he does skits. Sometimes he just talks about books. You should go check out his channel. Link is down below. Overly Average Ben, what are your no disclaimer thoughts? Ponderings of Pete. My friend Pete over there. Dude, do this tag. What are your... I think you could have some fun hot takes here. Your tag, speaking of hot takes, Books Rebound has said very hurtful things about the Farseer trilogy. I know he has hot takes. I know he has some savage takes. So Books Rebound, you are tagged in this video. I did not see the no disclaimers tag on your channel. I don't think you've done it before. You are tagged. How dare you say the things that you said about the Farseer trilogy? How dare you? Additionally, I have a bone to pick. And yes, I did already say in this video that I will burn this author's book if he does something mean to me. But frankly, Brandon Sanderson has taken a step out of AuthorTube and he's crossed into BookTube a couple different times, namely most recently with his Project Hail Mary book review. I did a Project Hail Mary book review and my version had way more singing and it was double the length. I talked about the book way more in depth probably than Brandon Sanderson. But Brandon Sanderson, you've stepped into the BookTube arena. I tag you to do the no disclaimers book tag. If you don't do it, you're a coward. And also if you don't do it, then I know what's coming in Wax and Wayne book 4. And I'm gonna have to pre-order your book just to burn it. So thanks, Brandon. I know you're watching right now. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you would like to see more videos from me in the future, including tags, let me know in the comments down below. But also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If we get 100 likes in this video, we're gonna do a karaoke live stream in the future. I'm just saying, let's get 100 likes in the video. If you'd like to talk about books with me and any of my friends, there's a Discord link down below. If you'd like to support the channel financially, there's a link to a merch store down below, as well as a link to a Patreon where you can do fun things like play Jackbox party games with me and my friends and do buddy reads once a month where we all vote on a book and then read it together. Thank you, Angela, for the tag. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Until next time, I will state this again. If Brandon Sanderson does not do this tag, we know what's going to happen in Wax and Wayne book 4, and it's not okay.